I'm going to get started. If moderator, if you see any other members join in, just please stop me and we'll announce that they're joining in the meeting as we go along.
I
Just
will
want to
do.
get started as we seem to have a 7-member quorum. So thank you everyone for joining the board's emergency board meeting. My name is Song-Oh, president of the board. Before we convene, I would like to remind everyone present that the board is a consumer protection agency charged with administering and enforcing pharmacy law. Where protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. This meeting is being conducted consistent with the provisions of Governor Gavin Newsom's Executive Order N-A-21. Participants watching the webcast will only be able to observe the meeting. Anyone interested in participating in the meeting must join the WebEx meeting. Information and instructions are posted on our website. As I facilitate emergency board meeting, I will announce when we are accepting public comment. I have advised the meeting moderator to allow 2 minutes to each individual providing comments. This approach is necessary to facilitate this meeting. I appreciate everyone's understanding and patience. Before we get started, I would like to ask staff moderating the meeting to provide general instructions. Moderator?
Thank you. This is the moderator, and we will be using the WebEx question and answer feature for processing of our public comments today. We will be taking comments in the order that they are received. And as President O mentioned, each comment will be limited to 2 minutes. At the end of the 2 minutes, I will be providing a 10-second reminder and then muting your microphone once time has expired and moving on to the next commenter. To access the Q&A feature, you'll be looking for the Q&A icon on your screen. It looks like a question mark inside of a square. If you click on that, it opens a text box. And in that text box, you can simply type the word comment and submit that to all panelists. For today's meeting, just as a quick reminder, we do have closed captioning. And if you'd like to disable the closed captioning to remove it from your screen, you can do so by locating the small closed captioning icon, typically located at the bottom left corner of your screen. If you click on that, it should hide the display. You can click on it again to then have the display reappear on your screen. And with that, I will turn it back over to President O.
Thank you, moderator. I would now like to take a roll call to establish a quorum. Maria Serpa?
Present.
Thank you, Maria. Maria's here. Jake Patel?
Happy Friday, President O.
Happy Friday. Thank you, Mr. Patel. Cheryl Butler? Thank you, Cheryl. Jose de la Paz?
Present.
Thank you, Jose. Shirley Kim? I believe Shirley is not here today. Ricardo Sanchez?
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Ricardo. And Nicole Tebow?
Happy Friday.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for joining. Debbie Beal? I don't believe Debbie is here. Jason Wise? I don't believe Jason is here, and I am here. So the quorum has been established. Members, as required by Government Code Section 11125.3, before the board can consider any other business today, we must determine whether an emergency exists with regards to the Delta variant of COVID-19 that necessitates action today. Specifically under the law, the board must first determine that an emergency situation exists, defined as either a work stoppage or other activity that severely impacts public health or safety, or a crippling disaster that impacts public health or safety. Such a determination must be made by 2/3 vote of the board present. Members, I would appreciate your comments and would entertain a motion making a determination that an emergency exists to allow the board to consider the next order of business, which is waivers of provisions of pharmacy law consistent with the Business and Professions Code, Section 4062. Members, anyone willing to make a motion that the emergency exists?
I would like to make a motion. This is Jig.
Thank you, Jake.
Ricardo.
Thank you, Ricardo. Jake motions, Ricardo seconds. With a motion and second on the floor, I will now open the lines for public comment. Moderator?
This is the moderator. We've opened the Q&A panel. If you'd like to submit a request for public comment, you can click on that Q&A icon on your screen, type comment into the text field, and submit that to all panelists. And not seeing any requests at this time, would you like me to close the panel?
Yes, please. Thank you, moderator.
It is
With a
closed.
motion and second and public.
No, President.
Yes.
President, no, I apologize. This is Ann Sodergren. Ms. Beal has joined. She is joined by the phone. I don't know if it's possible for the moderator to unmute Ms. Beal so she can participate as well.
Oh, I believe it's calling
you-
users 310279 is Debbie.
Okay, I will promote her now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I apologize for the interruption.
Not at all. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Debbie, via joining via phone call. If you could please announce your presence.
So Debbie, I
Hi,
see you
Julie.
have your hand raised.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you
Yes,
now.
we can.
Okay, perfect. All right, I've
Hi,
been
Debbie.
doing mute.
Thank you for joining, Debbie.
Yeah, I've been trying. I keep doing star three. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so Debbie is here. So if you could please make sure to reflect that on our establishing quorum for the roll call. And so with a motion and second and public comment received, I will now take a roll call vote. Members, as a reminder, please open your line before voting. Maria Serpa. Thank you, Maria. Maria votes yes. Jig Patel. Thank you, Jig. Jig votes yes. Cheryl Butler.
Yes.
Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl votes yes. Jose de la Paz. Thank you, Jose. Jose votes yes. Shirley is not present. Ricardo Sanchez.
I vote yes also.
Thank you, Ricardo. Ricardo votes yes. Nicole Thibault. Thank you, Nicole. Nicole votes yes. Debbie Beal.
Yes.
Thank you, Debbie. Debbie votes yes. Jason Wise is not here, and I vote yes. The motion passes. So we're going to move on to the agenda item number 3, consideration of waivers. Members, having made a determination that an emergency exists, we can now consider the waivers included on the agenda. As we begin our discussion, I want to highlight that the purposes of the meeting today, we are limited to discussing the 2 waivers included on the agenda. It is my intention to include, as part of the September 23, 2021 meeting, a larger discussion of the board's current delegation to the board's president to determine if changes are appropriate. The first waiver, remote processing, extends the conditions under which specified pharmacy staff can perform functions outside of a pharmacy. This broad waiver has been used throughout the pandemic and expired on June 30th, 2021. At that time, the board transitioned to a site-specific model. Under my delegated authority, I have approved a limited number of site-specific waivers where site-specific conditions warranted such approval. However, since the expiration of the waiver, there has been a significant surge in COVID-19 cases, caused primarily by the highly contagious Delta variant. Further, recently, with the approval of boosters, it is anticipated that pharmacies will continue to play a key role in vaccinations, including resuming vaccine administration at off-site locations such as skilled nursing facilities. Reinstating the remote processing waiver will allow for off-site entry of immunization records. I believe there will be broad need for the use of this waiver, and as such, I'm requesting your consideration of extending this waiver. I would appreciate member thoughts. If you believe reinstatement of the broad remote processing waiver is appropriate, please include the duration of time as part of a motion. Members, anyone willing to make a motion?
Song, this is Debbie. I would be happy to make a motion.
Thank you, Debbie. Debbie makes a motion. Debbie, would you like to put a date on it?
Well, you know, I
So
kind
yeah,
of
the
want to
laptop-
make it a. Well, what do
Go ahead.
you suggest? Well, I like to put on an extended period of time because I guess I'm not. I think that the booster and all that, I would like to say through the end of the year, through December 31st.
Okay, and is that possible? Is that okay, Eileen?
Yes, President O, this is Eileen. We can put whatever duration the board wants to move because it's the board acting and not you under a delegated authority.
Perfect. I
And
believe
and
that
probably
that's-
do we need to say December 31st or until the emergency, until
Yes.
the emergency declaration is
declaration.
removed?
is lived. Yep, that sounds perfect. If that is the motion, anyone willing to second?
I apologize.
Oh,
This is
go ahead,
Anne
Ann.
jumping in really fast. Apologize. Minutes are for the board's consideration, and sometimes you're specifying a day. So in this case, December 31st or 30 days following the end of the declaration to allow for a transition period. If the emergency declaration was, lifted immediately, people might need a little bit of transition period. Just wanted to see if that was the intent of the motion. And again, I apologize for that interruption.
Yes, I believe
And I appreciate
so.
you doing that. I was actually thinking that, but then I was thinking, did we do this last time? But I appreciate that, and I would like to amend my motion to say that if was that I don't know, it was that Jig who seconded it, if they're willing to agree.
I agree, Debbie,
Perfect.
with the
Thank
amendment.
you.
All right.
And
Thank you, guys.
just so it's clear, hi, this is Eileen. So the motion would be correct that we would institute the remote processing waiver until 12/31/2021 or 30 days after the emergency declaration is lifted, whichever one is later.
Sure,
Actually,
that's
I
fine.
like that.
Typically, okay. You're going to do whichever one is later.
Yes.
I agree.
Sure, that's fine. That sounds good to me. Any other member comments? Hearing none, we are going to open the line for public comment. Moderator, please open the lines as appropriate.
We've opened the Q&A panel. If you'd like to make a comment on this item, please click on the Q&A icon on your screen, type comment into the text field, and submit that to our panelists. Our first comment today comes from Lindsay Golahorn. Lindsay, I sent you a request to unmute your microphone. As a reminder, you'll need to click the unmute me button at your end and pause for just a moment before speaking.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President O and board members. This is Lindsay Golahorn with the California Retailers Association and the National Association of Chain Drugstores. And first, we thank you for calling an emergency board meeting to discuss the Delta variant and the potential to reinstate expired waivers or renew upcoming expiring waivers. As we wrote in the letter we submitted yesterday, we do respectfully request that you reinstate the remote processing waiver. We absolutely agree that the Delta variant constitutes an emergency with factors that are unique now compared to when the waiver was initially issued last year. Even though over 80% of Californians have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine, COVID-19 is spreading in large part because the Delta variant is so contagious and because stay-at-home orders have been lifted. Californians are going back to work and the economy is moving again, which is definitely a positive thing, but unfortunately COVID-19 cases are rising and our frontline healthcare workers are at risk. Pharmacy team members are testing positive, and those that have not faced potential exposure on a daily basis. So we do appreciate the board's prior issuance of the remote processing waiver and understand why it expired in June when cases were down, but given the Delta variant and increasing cases, we believe there is a need to reinstate it and agree that until the end of the year or when the emergency ends is a proper time to expire. Thank you.
And our next comment comes from John Gray. John, I've sent you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm John Gray. I'm a registered pharmacist with Kaiser Permanente. First, I just want to thank the board for calling this emergency meeting to discuss these very important waivers with the state and the nation embroiled in the Delta wave of the COVID pandemic. This is certainly a welcome discussion. Next, I just want to express our support for reactivation of the statewide remote work waiver. This waiver will provide us with a very important tool to continue to provide safe and effective patient care during the ongoing public health emergency. And we too are heartened by the motion to set a relatively longer expiry date of either the end of the year or the end of the 30 days after the end of the public health emergency, whichever comes later. So thank you again for calling this meeting and for the opportunity to provide feedback.
And that concludes our request for comments. Would you like me to close the panel?
Yes, please. Thank you, moderator, and thank you for the comments. With a
Please
motion
close.
second and public comment received, I will now take a roll call vote. Members, as a reminder, please open your line before voting. Let's start with Maria Serpa.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria. Maria votes yes. Jake Patel. Thank you, Jake. Jake votes yes. Cheryl Butler. Cheryl? I'll come back to Cheryl. I'm not hearing Cheryl. So, Jose de la Paz?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, hi, Cheryl. Thank you,
Hi.
Cheryl. Cheryl votes yes. Or sorry. Are you voting yes, right, Cheryl?
Yes, I
Okay.
vote yes.
Thank you, Cheryl. Jose de la Paz?
I vote yes.
Thank you, Jose. Shirley Kim is not present. Ricardo Sanchez?
Oh, I vote yes.
Thank you, Ricardo. Nicole?
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole and Ricardo votes yes. Debbie Veal?
Yes.
Thank you, Debbie. Debbie votes yes. Jason is not present, and I vote yes. The motion passes. Moving on to the next for our consideration is possible action to reinstate the restoration of retired or canceled pharmacist license waiver. This waiver serves as a complement to the DCA Director's waiver allowing for reinstatement of retired or canceled pharmacist license under specified conditions. The board's waiver expires September 1. Earlier this week, on August 31, the DCA Director extended their waiver applicable to other license categories, including pharmacy technicians. Under the conditions of the DCA waiver, a license reactivated or restored pursuant to the waiver is valid until November 1, 2021, or when the state of emergency ceases to exist, whichever is sooner. Members, I recommend that the board consider reinstating its waiver consistent with the provisions of the DCA waiver and would welcome your thoughts. As part of your comments, I would be curious if members believe it would be appropriate to establish as part of our action today that should the DCA waiver be subsequently extended, the board's waiver will be similarly extended. If you agree, please include that in any motion or another expiration deadline. Members, anyone willing to make comments or make motion?
Song, this is Debbie. I'd be happy to make a motion.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for making motions. Anyone?
Second.
Go ahead,
This is
Debbie.
Cheryl.
You wanna?
Second. This is Cheryl. A second.
Thank you, Cheryl. And Debbie, do you want to state the motion?
Yeah, so my motion, Cheryl, let me know if you agree, is to extend same as what DCA has done. And yeah, and they did the extension to November 1st or when the emergency declaration, whichever is sooner. And do we need to do the 30-day notice thing again?
I think that might be a good idea. Eileen, and I'm just curious, can we also set, Debbie, if you're agreeable, to subsequently extend if the DCA waiver is extended? Can we do that? Or is that not possible?
I think that, President O, this is Eileen. I believe you could do that if the motion is phrased so, and you could say, you know, as Debbie had said, you know, till 11/1/2021, or when the emergency declaration is lifted, subject to the proviso that if DCA extends its waiver, that the board's waiver will extend to coincide with the same time limits.
Perfect.
Debbie, is that what you were thinking of?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Cheryl, is that okay with you?
Yes, I would agree to that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, with a motion and second on the floor, any other comments, members? Hearing none, we are going to go to public comment. Moderator, please open the line for public comment.
Open the Q&A panel. If you'd like to comment on this item, please click on the Q&A icon on your screen, type comment into the text field, and submit that to our panelists. And not seeing any requests, would you like me to close the panel?
Yes, please. Thank you, moderator.
It's closed.
Okay, with a motion and second and public comment received, we're going to take a roll call vote. Maria Serpa? Thank you, Maria. Maria votes yes. Jake Patel?
Yes.
Thank you, Jake. Jake votes yes. Cheryl Butler? Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl votes yes. Jose de la Paz? Thank you, Jose. Jose votes yes. Ricardo Sanchez? Thank you, Ricardo. Ricardo votes yes. Nicole Thibault?
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole votes yes. Debbie Veal?
Yes.
Thank you, Debbie. Debbie votes yes, and I vote yes. Shirley Kim and Jason Wise are not present. So the motion passes. All right, members, I really appreciate all of you joining this short notice meeting, and really thank you everyone for your participating today, especially this such a short notice, and sorry to interrupt your Friday and your holiday weekend. I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you in about 3 weeks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.